host, Matt Bantwort. This is the podcast where you're going to learn how to take control of your health and wellness through fitness, nutrition, and mindset. Today, I have Caitlin on with me. We're going to be talking about the differences between personal training and group training. We're also going to cover the pros and cons of each, and we're also going to give you a framework to determine which one might work best for you. So let's dive right in. So Caitlin, do you want to just define what personal training is?
For sure. So I think personal training is anywhere between 1 to 3 people at the most. You have eyes on you the entire time by a coach. And it's really good if you are definitely a beginner, but even more so if you have a defined goal, like something you definitely want to achieve, whether it be to lose weight or to do a marathon or something like that. If you want to train for something, I definitely think having a coach and a personal trainer would be best.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And I definitely see people who have the best progress or the fastest progress is with some sort of one-on-one coaching.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's definitely the priciest. So there's that. But other than that, I think personal training will definitely get you to your goal the fastest.
Awesome. Let's briefly cover group training. Let's just chat about that really quick. Let's just give an overview.
Yeah, so group training is probably anywhere between, I would say, 10 and 20 people would be a good group class, also led by a coach. You don't have eyes on you the entire time, but it does feel like you do get a little personal guidance throughout, right? So it's coach-led, and then throughout the workout, usually the coach comes over and makes some critiques, and that's great. And what's great about group class is that you are with a lot of people. It's motivating to be in a group class, to be around your peers, and you have accountability with that. Yeah,
awesome. And being that this is my 16th year of doing CrossFit, that's a long time. I've experienced it all. I've done everything from doing it completely solo on my own to having a one-on-one coach to doing only group classes. And there's been kind of an evolution with me. And I've definitely seen the pros and cons of each firsthand. And first off, just to kind of backtrack to just personal training and one-on-one training, is that when I was training specifically to try and go to the CrossFit Games regionals, I definitely was the fittest I ever have been when I was with a one-on-one coach. Now, it wasn't necessarily personal training per se, but it was individualized program design. So I got personalized training plans from my coach, and it was all training cycles and everything.
Yeah.
And specifically trained towards my weaknesses and making sure that my strengths were maintained. And I made the fastest progress by having some sort of a one-on-one approach. Now, the downfall of that, what I saw was that the motivation was probably the hardest part of that, because I was doing all my own workouts on my own, and I didn't really know when to push and when to back off sometimes. Yeah. Luckily, my coach helped me with that. So he would tell me, like, hey, you need to take this workout at this pace, or, you on these lifts, I want you to hit these percentages or at this specific tempo.
It should feel like this, or whatever.
Exactly. This is the stimulus that it should be. And I do miss that group aspect. That was the hardest part of doing it, was because I was always by myself.
Yeah.
The performance was good, but the community aspect really was kind of the downfall of it. And then now I've kind of transitioned to only doing group, which is awesome because I get to throw down with my friends, I get to throw down with my members, and it's definitely more motivating because I can be at almost 30% motivation or 30% even energy, and I can come in and feed off the room, and that pushes me to actually even get my workout done in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are, but if you want to kind of jump in.
Well, I liked how you talked about with the individual programming, it really targeted your weaknesses. I think that's really important when you are working one-on-one with a coach. They know your strengths and they know your weaknesses, and that's what's great about how getting personal programming in that sense. But what's also great about finding a good community or a good gym is also the programming there as well. Like making sure that the programming is tailored to maybe what the community needs best versus just following like an online program. And I think that's one thing that we pride ourselves at Red Wolf with, is that we've always only done our own programming. and we program for our members, and we program kind of based on what they like and what they need to work on. And I think it's really worked well over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's definitely not easy to do. It's a lot easier just to pay for programming and have someone who's, who is very, very experienced to give you a really good program. But at the end of the day, I like being very hands-on. Yeah. I like collecting data from who I'm training and making something specifically curated for them specifically.
Yeah.
That's just how I like to work. And I know that a lot of other gym owners would disagree with me, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, they will get fitter as long as they show up and work out, and exactly. The workouts are still good. And they're absolutely right. But this is just how we do things.
Yeah. We like that personal touch and that personal, workouts. We do a lot of different things to honor our members, and we know them kind of inside out. That's kind of something that we like about our community. And we do dedicated workouts to people as when they hit certain markers, like 5 years here at the gym. You get your own personal workout, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, and I love how you touched on the community aspect of that, because, when I see that there's something specifically we all need to work on as a group, we know how to attack that. And if we're following a program, it's a waste of time for us to be on that program or to make adjustments to that program, because we might as well just build it from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost easier.
Yes, it is, because eventually you're just going to start editing all the workouts, and then it just becomes more work at that point, on top of you're also paying for programming. So
yeah. All right, awesome. Let's go into more of the details of personal training. Let's talk about personal training and who needs personal training. Yeah,
definitely. Somebody new to fitness. I mean, if you have absolutely no experience in the gym, working one-on-one with a coach is going to be your best route. I mean, safety, making sure you're doing things correctly, and then at the intensity that you need. A coach can really figure that out pretty quickly just by doing a few basic tests and the first training session, and then going from there, and they can build a program for you from that. And I think that's the biggest aspect of personal training, is that, you have that exact linear progression, and the coach can kind of figure that out and then guide you towards that.
Yeah, and personal training is definitely the fastest route to hit your goals, and it's also extremely effective, because you can go, just like how you said, you can dig really deep into their goals. And when you're working one-on-one with a coach, at least when I'm working with my clients, is that I know exactly how much weight to prescribe them.
Yes.
And how much little weight, even based on if they slept well or not. I can just read them, because I work with them one-on-one. Mm-hmm. They're the only one I see.
Yes.
Or there's fewer people I see. I'm not in a group where I'm making sure I'm taking care of a bunch of people. I can focus on just one person, and it's a lot easier to make adjustments on the fly. I can't tell you how many times someone's showed up to a session and I had this whole plan laid out for them, and then I completely improvise just based on how they feel, or where they're at in terms of motivation. Maybe they're jet lagged, they didn't sleep well, they didn't eat enough that day, they ate too much. And then boom, I can make an adjustment on the fly real quick and give them the best workout for them on that given day.
Yeah, imagine coming in and finding out to the group class that you're going to do Murph on not Memorial Day. That would be really excruciating. So being able to come in and tell your coach hey, I'm not feeling that great. Could we just do something like this instead? And then you can instantly just change it and make a great workout for them, no matter how they feel. Now, even though we talked about this being more so for people who are new to fitness, this is also definitely for somebody who just maybe doesn't have the time to make decisions in the gym. They just need accountability, and they need someone to push them and guide them through the workout.
Exactly. They just need more structure.
Yeah. So
they need to be told exactly.
I have a few clients who are pretty advanced in the gym, but they just want to kind of be mindless and just be told what to do, come in, get it done, and get a really good workout in. And sometimes group class isn't enough, or maybe it's too much. So it can go both ways, right? That's what's great about personal training. It's tailored towards you.
Yeah. Let's dig into a little bit more of who would you say needs personal training the most? What kind of a person?
Oh, like I said before, somebody new to fitness for sure will benefit the most. In the long run, it's better to invest in good guidance from the beginning versus trying to fix it later on down the road, right? Say you just kind of jump into group class new to fitness and you start developing these bad habits and nobody is there to correct you because they don't have eyes on you 24/7. So you just kind of like progress through, and then later on, maybe a year or two down the road, you get hurt or something happens, and that's because you weren't guided from the very beginning.
Exactly. I think that's a great point, because I can't tell you, I mean, I can tell you specifically that when I was learning Olympic weightlifting, I taught myself first, learned it the wrong way, and spent an entire year building from scratch with the guidance of a coach. And that was one of the worst times where I was like, man, I learned the hard way here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, quality over quantity, like just invest in whatever you're doing early on, making the best decisions early on, and you're going to save time down the road.
Yeah. And one final note I want to add to the whole personal training aspect is that even if you aren't new to fitness or CrossFit, that if you have a specific skill that you're trying to develop, you're going to get there a lot faster with a coach, kind of going back to my Olympic weightlifting example. Yeah,
I have another example of somebody who wanted to train for a Spartan race, specifically a Spartan race coming up. That's all they wanted to do. They came in and saw me once a week. We only practiced things that they were going to see in that event, and we got better, and then they crushed the Spartan race, So, I mean, as long as you have a goal, I think if you have a specific goal you're training for, definitely get a coach.
Exactly. And not to mention, kind of another hidden benefit is just that the scheduling is more flexible.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can work around your schedule. You don't have to work around a class schedule.
Yeah.
And that's really beneficial.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to group. Any final words to say on personal training? Okay, great. Let's move on to group training. Now, group training is it's definitely is the fun factor, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's engaging, it's dynamic, it's packed with energy. It fosters a sense of community. It keeps you motivated. There's a collective spirit, and it can be incredibly efficient when you're just trying to get in something for that day, and then you can move on with your day. Yeah,
I think group class in the long run is probably what people are going to do the most of, right? Most of our life is going to be spent doing fitness between our 30s and hopefully we can all get into our 60s and our 70s doing fitness.
Yeah.
But during that time, group classes is what works best for scheduling, for the most part for people, family life, right? You don't have 2 hours to spend in the gym, right? You need to get something done quick, done effectively, mindless. People don't want to have to think about a program. They just want to come in, be told what to do, have a really fun workout with their friends, and then leave. And that is what group class provides.
Yeah, 100%. And no, I love what you said there about, just, the whole lifestyle aspect.
Yeah, it's really a lifestyle. Beneficial.
And, I think it also works well for people who really need that external motivation. Some people are intrinsically motivated, and that external motivation, the energy that you can feed off from everyone else in the class, can really help you. Kind of like what I said earlier about, sometimes I come in with like 30% motivation. All I got to do is get through the warm up, get a few fist bumps, and then I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Everybody knows that you will instantly do better in a group setting, or you'll try harder in a group setting than if you were by yourself. I mean, you and I do it on the weekend by ourselves, and man, it is so much harder than doing class during the week. Mm-hmm. So we have to adjust our workout in that sense as well. So, pros and cons about doing group class. I guess the best thing about it is going to be the accountability and being with other people and having that external motivation. And also, like, if you're in a good gym, you're going to have a good coach who's still giving you that personal touch. So I think that's something that we really touch on here at Red Wolf, is that we really try to make sure we hit every single person and make sure that we provide something with every class. I want every person to feel like they got better in that class and that I helped them do something better more efficiently, or they were able to lift more or do something better, in that sense.
Exactly. And we definitely are known for our group classes. And I think it's because we took an approach to where we're not coaching, as coaches, we're not coaching a group. We are coaching individuals, or doing personal training within a big group.
Yes.
And we make sure we have touch points with each person. And we even have set goals, outlined for all of our staff, saying like, we want to improve one thing with each person, minimum. We want to have a personal touch point with each person, minimum. once, every class, and then making sure we're progressing off that. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's why people get such good results, even just in our group.
Yeah, and also our coaches are consistent. We like to coach kind of the same classes across the board, and that's good in the sense that we see the same people consistently throughout the week. So I do know and notice people's progressions, and then I can also progress them in a group setting. So exactly what you said is that they're getting personal training in a group setting in that sense that the coach is watching them throughout the week.
Right. Let's kind of just do a little pros and cons of each. So or maybe a compare and contrast.
Just a recap.
Yeah. What do you want to start with?
So personal training, great for people who have individual goals. You can be anybody from beginner to advanced, but this will get you results the fastest. That's the pros, I guess, of personal training. Pros of group setting, again, is that, external motivation, having accountability, group setting, and then still getting that personal touch from the coaches in that sense.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. I think another pro of personal training would be just that the private aspect of it, just being able to, I also think you can get more done in 1 hour with a personal training session than you can with a group, because a group, we're corralling, anywhere between 10 to 18 people in a class.
Yes.
Whereas,
herding sheep, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Where I can, with my clients, I can get a lot in 1 hour.
Yeah. We can get like 2 days worth of group class in one personal training session.
No, 100%. And then, like I said, 100% agree with you with the pros of the group training, which is just the external motivation. I think that's the one that stands out to me the most. But I think the cons of group training is that the progression of skills and strength will be a lot slower.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot slower. And how do you fight that? Just be more open with communication with your coach, right? Just ask more questions. I think all of our coaches would say that we want our members to ask us more questions. Like, how do I progress? What should I do? What should I do today? Banded pull-up or ring row? Like, what would be best for me? And then our coaches will hopefully do a good job of being direct and telling them, hey, I think you should do this because on Monday you did that, or whatever. But yeah, having that open line of communication is only going to make your group class more personalized.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on to maybe the cons of personal training and group class. The con of personal training, I mean, the only thing that really sticks out to me that people would say is that it does cost more. But I mean, you just have to imagine that you're getting so much more for that. And that's kind of like the number one thing that people tell me most is that, it is a big investment, but it's an investment into your health. It's an investment into your goal. And if that's important to you, then I think it's definitely worth it.
Right. And I mean, I think another thing you have to think about is how fast do you want this?
Yeah, exactly.
And some people are willing to pay for speed, and people are willing to pay for speed without any kind of speed bumps in the middle. And that's definitely the best route for a lot of individuals.
For sure. I agree.
Let's talk about the cons of group classes.
Well, I think we already touched on that about saying it's not as quick of progression, right? Because you don't have that personal touch. But I guess maybe another con of group class is that you can kind of get away with a little bit more. You can kind of hide in the corner. You can kind of just blend in.
I can do 10 reps instead of 20.
Exactly.
And no one will know.
Because my coach isn't counting for me. So you can kind of get away with a little bit. That's just kind of where, your own personal drive and I guess, comes into play. And that's, if that matters to you, then you'll do great. Yeah.
And let's talk about kind of a big question I'm sure a lot of people have, which is which one fits me the most? And we do have a program that helps figuring that out. It's called our Ramp Up program. So what we found is over the course of having a gym over 11 years is that if we threw people into group classes right away, they would get discouraged or they would, leave quickly because they just didn't know what they were doing. Also, we tried the opposite route of where we'd require everyone to go personal training first. But the problem is that everybody wanted to get in a group, which is totally understandable because our group classes are awesome. So what we developed was a Ramp Up program, which is a hybrid of both, including some nutrition coaching in there, which is great because you kind of get like an all-in-one. And basically when we coach you, we figure out which one will work best for you because you may prefer one, but that's not what you actually need.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, I've met plenty of people who, want to keep doing PT and I'm like, you're fine in the group, but
Yes.
they just Pinky is a great example. Pinky could definitely is one of my clients who does only personal training with me. She's more than experienced enough to work. She do group, but she just likes working with me.
Yeah, for sure. And for most people, it's about building confidence. And I think that's where personal training really helps, is build your confidence in that you know kind of what you're doing and how to move. And when somebody says, hey, do Spider-Man lunge, you don't know what that, and if you don't know what that is in the warm-up, you might feel like you look stupid. But once you kind of like do ramp up and you can learn all these things, you'll feel a lot more comfortable going into group class.
Yeah, and 100% honesty from me as someone who's coached people throughout many years is that the way I would build the ultimate fitness routine for 80% of the population, I would have them do 2 to 3 personal training sessions a week, and then 2 to 3 group classes a week. And
that sounds amazing.
I think that would yield the fastest results in the shortest amount of time, while keeping motivation high, and while also preventing injury and making sure that there's proper linear progressions to their fitness journey.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, again, what Matt said, 2 to 3 personal training sessions a week plus 2 to 3 group classes. That is like the ideal for anybody across the board.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be, a tipping of the scale to each, but I'd say for 80% of the population that's a really good starting point. And then maybe, going back and forth a little bit between the both, and there's no cookie cutter answer. Really.
I've always told people personal training is not forever. I mean, it's always just if you happen to have a new goal, like, down the road, maybe a couple years from now, you have a new goal and you go back and you work with a coach one-on-one, and then it doesn't have to be forever. Group class doesn't have to be forever. Personal training doesn't have to be forever. It's for everybody, and you can benefit from both.
100%. And at the end of the day, the choice between group training and personal training isn't about one or the other being superior. It's just about finding what works best for you, your goals, your needs, and your circumstances.
Yes.
And it's about finding what you enjoy and what motivates you and what helps you consistently show up to your workouts. And that is really the key factor. And I know consistency is something that's really blown out of proportion, but there's a reason why everyone keeps saying it, because that's the only true path to success.
It really is.
So whether you're a group workout person or personal training is your route, or a bit of both, which I think is ideal, is that remember that the best workout for you is the one that you actually do.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, please leave us a 5-star review so we know to make more content just like this. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Red Wolf CrossFit, and feel free to send us your questions there. We would love to have more topics for our podcast to discuss. Until next time, good luck, have fun.
Nailed it.